Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Jeremy from Randolph Running Club, and today I'm here to talk to you about my new Altra Duo 1.5s. Just took these out for a first run, and I have first impression thoughts for you guys right after this. If this is your first time, thank you so much for joining me. And if you're coming back, hey, thank you for coming along for this ride and staying tuned. But as you saw there, that was some highlights from my Saturday morning, kind of easy pace, medium distance run. I just went out there for 40 minutes in the Altra Duo 1.5s. That was 5.04 miles at approximately 8 minutes and 46 seconds per mile pace. So nice and easy, just shaking out the legs, making sure that I got them going and feeling good before my long run that I'll have already done by the time you see this video on Sunday. So, I am not sponsored by Running Warehouse or anyone actually, but I digress. And they recently had a really nice sale for Labor Day on these shoes, dropping the price of the Ultras, and that's ALTRA, Ultra running shoes, but they dropped the price of these shoes from $130 down to $50. And I thought at that price, I've just got to see what the hype is about, because I see a lot of other YouTube reviewers, I see other people when I go out on my runs, and just people wearing these shoes, and they're zero drop, which I'll kind of discuss more along in the video, but yeah, I just wanted to know what the hype was about. So without further ado, let's just start off with some technical specs. And I do want to say also that the specs on Running Warehouse were actually a little different than what was on Ultra's site. They had a higher weight and a lower stack height. And after going on this initial run, I kind of am more inclined to agree with the Ultra's actual specs, especially since they're the ones who made the shoe. But anyway, so yeah, jumping right into it, the weight coming in at 8.1 ounces in a US men's size 9. So that's a pretty light weight, especially for this amount of cushioning. The stack height is 32 millimeters at the heel, 32 millimeters at the forefoot, so pretty well cushioned. I think anything over 30 millimeters can kind of go into like a max cushioned territory. And of course, since those stack heights are actually the same, that means the heel to toe offset or drop of the shoe is 0 millimeters, so it's completely flat on the bottom. There's no higher heel than the forefoot that kind of keeps you inclined more so on your toes, I suppose, and emphasizes that kind of strike. The midsole is the Ultra Max LT midsole, and it has kind of a knit upper with not a ton of structure, but yeah, they're claiming that it's knit. It feels nothing like Fly Knit or Prime Knit or any of those other types of ones you might be familiar with from other brands, but that's what Ultra's saying here. So yeah, never actually done one of these first impression videos of a shoe. I typically wait until I've been in it for a long time, but this just felt kind of different than what I normally run in. I'm usually running in shoes that have like an 8 or 10 millimeter offset and a little bit less stack height, so a little bit more ground contact feel. So I figured, you know what, let's do something different. Let's talk about the shoe, just my first impressions, especially because it was kind of polarizing, dare I say. So, I'll pick the shoe up here, but the shoe is actually really comfortable. Like, I was very, very impressed with how these felt out on the road. The grip was good, I would say. I think what impressed me the most was just the amount of cushioning. I'm not sure exactly what type of cushion. I don't know if it's an EVA or whatever, but This Ultra Max LT midsole, it kind of feels like a hyper burst or something to me to a certain extent, like almost like nitrogen infused. There was just a really good amount of energy return. Super, super soft. I mean, as you can see here, like I'm gonna kind of press into the bottom there, and it kind of has like a decent amount of give. Like, I don't know, it just felt so soft. It's definitely a neutral shoe, but it felt so good out there on the road. Like I just felt very protected. My joints felt good. My feet felt great. And the other thing that is kind of, an Ultra mainstay as well is you have this really wide toe box here in the front. So they do that because it kind of allows your feet to splay outwards as you're running in what they call a natural motion. So it's not as constrictive as maybe like a pair of Adidas. I find they tend to be very narrow in the forefoot for me. So that felt really good too. Knowing that my feet they kind of had room to swim, if you will, and weren't going to be, rubbing all up against the knit upper. I found that the upper didn't have a ton of structure. That is one thing that I think I'm going to be kind of keen to see how I like that as time goes on. It was very, very breathable. It was hot. I went out and it was over 80 degrees and very humid, probably 80% humidity in Miami. And I think the shoes just performed really well. There was a great amount of energy return. It was really fun to run in. I actually recently got a pair of Hoka Rincons as well that I'll be reviewing on the channel. And I found that the energy return in this was superior to what I've had in the Hoka, spoiler alert, I guess. And the amount of cushioning, it felt, everybody's different. I kind of like that little bit of squish sometimes, especially when I'm going to be on an easier run like I was. So it was kind of nice. It didn't feel quite as firm as the Hokas felt, despite having very similar stack height. But yeah, I would say the upper just doesn't have a ton of structure, so that's kind of a knock. And another thing that people I saw have complained about and kind of had me scared was the actual heel area, the heel cup area here doesn't have a ton of padding. There's just a little bit down there, and I think a lot of people, were complaining, saying when they ran in this shoe, it actually gave them blisters on their Achilles area and caused them a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of pain. So me knowing that going in, I could see that the heel kind of comes up a little bit high and kind of rides up and hugs your Achilles tendon. So to counter this, I just said, all right, I'm not going to wear no-show socks. So I went out there and I ran in crew socks like I really used to almost exclusively when I first started running, and it was perfectly fine. Now, granted, your mileage may vary. It might, be a little bit different depending on how your feet are set up, I guess. But for me personally, I found that it didn't really rub my Achilles, or if it was rubbing it, it was just like a nice snug hold, and it didn't feel like I was, kind of like slapping against it or anything. And I didn't have any blisters. I ran 5 miles, and I saw people saying that they were getting blisters at 2 miles and 3 miles and things like that on their first run. So I'm sure it'll soften up even more as time goes on, but I didn't have any problems with that. I did have a little bit of a hot spot in my right foot at the forefoot area, kind of the ball of my foot, I guess. But I'm sure that will kind of go away over time. I didn't experience it at all on the left side, so I don't think I'm not really too alarmed at that, but we'll see how it progresses. But yeah, let's get into Ultra and what makes them different. So I already discussed that they do the zero drop shoe, right? So the stack height is the exact same in the heel as it is in the forefoot. And luckily for us, they gave us this really nice little pamphlet in the box with the shoes that actually explains, what's going on there. So yeah. Let me see here. So they're talking about what the zero drop is and why it's beneficial. So, looking at this page here, they're saying it's an equal amount of cushioning underneath the heel and forefoot. Okay, I can get down with that, definitely. Say natural Achilles loading for a more powerful push off. I don't know if I necessarily was experiencing that, but I'll see the more I run, I definitely felt like I could have pushed the pace in these just how light they were in the energy return. But I don't think my Achilles was all of a sudden Superman and propelling me forward. Perfect weight balance front to back. I agree with that. That definitely was something that I enjoyed. Now, one thing that they're saying, it encourages better technique to reduce initial impact, and it naturally aligns your feet, back, and body posture. So they're saying that this is kind of to prevent injuries. And I've seen a lot of people online wearing these and saying they started wearing them and naturally their knee pain and their back pain and hips and IT band syndrome and all these other things kind of magically went away. So I'm a little bit curious to see how that exactly pans out. I don't really trouble with any injuries in particular, but any shoe that kind of helps you keep injury free, I think is great. And really, the reason why I kind of wanted to try these was just to introduce different types of heel drops for my shoes. So, my kind of main shoes, if you will, are a pair of Nike Odyssey React Flyknit 2s. So those have an 8mm heel to toe drop. But now I'm mixing in the Hoka Rincons, which have a 5mm heel to toe drop. And these are 0. So I think, by kind of diversifying that, I'm hoping to kind of strengthen my legs even more, strengthen my, calves, my Achilles tendon, just so that I don't have any problems. And hopefully what I'm thinking is by kind of mixing this in as almost a daily trainer, recovery day shoe, I'm hoping that when it comes time to actually run my marathon, when I'm in the higher stack height shoe, that might actually give me a little bit of an edge and make me a little bit quicker, maybe. Just having that benefit of being a little bit more on my toes than I'm used to by running in this shoe. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm not sure, it might be a gimmick. It might be, something that is just a fad right now. But this brand seems to be doing pretty well. And just from my initial thoughts, I don't think that it's bad. And another thing, just kind of to close this off here, is I've seen a lot of documentation. Altra actually even put it in this booklet saying the first week when you wear these shoes, if you're not used to wearing 0 drop shoes or being barefoot a lot of the time, that you should actually only use them for very light activities. The second and third weeks, you should mix in more moderate, so like kind of steady pace, middle distance. And then from there, 4 to 6 weeks in, they recommend that you can start using them for longer runs and things like that. Obviously, I went on a 5-mile run, which is kind of a middle distance for me. It's like on the lower end of my middle distance runs. And, I think I felt my calves working a little bit harder, but I didn't feel any soreness or anything the next day. So I think your mileage will vary. I'm probably going to start rotating these in a little bit more than I would have. I was going to be a little bit more cautious, but I think if you already are a person who, works out your legs, does jump rope and calf raises and things like that, eccentric stretches for your Achilles tendon, which I try to mix in as much as I can just to keep that injury kind of at bay. I think that these shoes won't necessarily give you any type of problem. So yeah, excuse me there. But those are kind of my thoughts on these Ultras. I'm looking forward to a ton more miles in them. Just kind of initially looking at them, I'm not sure how they're going to hold up because Ultra kind of calls them as a race day option. So maybe I'll be somewhere in the 200-ish mile range when it's all said and done. But I'll have some more thoughts for you guys then, and a lot more along the way as well. So if you like this content, you like what you see, feel free to follow me on Strava, Instagram, subscribe to this channel, like this video, etc. Have the links to all of those down below in the description. And just thank you so much for hanging out with me today, guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great day.